So far, things are going great. You have your working thesis, which again, we're probably going to make a lot better as time goes on and it comes together for us. But now we are ready to plan our paper, and we're going to do an outline. Once again, we'd like for you to do this by hand, but I'm going to show you on computer. So I'm going to use the work that I did in step 2 to develop step 3. In step 2, I came up with my working thesis. So I'm going to put my thesis into my thesis box. This sets up the entire paper. This is step 1 in my paper. When I write, it's not going to look this way. It's going to look a little different. But when I start thinking about the way my paper is going to look, this is the beginning. So the thesis is going to be the big idea in the opening paragraph. And you can see where I've indented here. See that space? That means anything that's scooted over belongs to this main idea up top. So this is opening paragraph number 1. I'm going to have a thesis, and then I need to put in some key points. So right now I'm just doing my thinking. There are people who prefer to do this with their with full sentences, and that's fine if you're that person. I'm just going to do key ideas and let you watch. So what do they need to know about Stray? They need to know that it's a poor family. They need to know that they find a dog, and they need to know that the dog can't stay, and that a dad changes mind. Those are the big ideas. And if you notice, this sounds a lot like our main idea work that we've done already this year. So I want to get this idea in 1 to 2 sentences when I start writing, but right now I'm just putting it down as a concept. Then I'm going to move on to my first claim. So I have a thesis, and then I'm going to make claims about my thesis. So if I look back at my evidence and I look at the order, page 1, page 2, and page 4, I should probably start with page 1 because I want to go in order. Some people like to make their argument from weakest to strongest, and that's fine. But for this paper, I'm going to go in the order it appears in the book. Page 1, page 2, page 4. I'm going to start here. I'll go ahead and copy this because I'm definitely going to need this in part of this paragraph. So the idea is the family literally cannot spare leftovers of their own food. Okay, so I've got to think about my theme, and I've got to tie my theme together with that idea. So, how am I going to do this? I have an idea. In the beginning of the novel, what word can I pull from up here? Sacrifice. In the beginning of the novel, and that is an opening phrase with more than 3 words in the beginning of the novel, so comma. In the beginning of the novel, Doris learns keeping the dog is too big and look how I'm pulling that word down, sacrifice for her family. All right, so now the person reading this knows this whole paragraph is going to be about Doris learning how big of a problem it is. So when I write, I'm going to have a full sentence, but this says evidence, introduction, story tell, summary. Right now, we're just going to do the raft example model where it's actually a quote. So I'm going to put my quote in here. This sentence, when I write, is going to include this piece of evidence, just like raft, for example, and then I'm going to build that sentence, but I'm not there yet. And then I need a sentence explaining back to the raft model. I've told you what I wanted to say, I've given you my evidence, and now I've got to show you how that ties together. And I'm trying to think about my thesis way back up here. One theme in Stray is that people will make sacrifices to avoid torment. So I've got to get that idea into this. Doris learning to keep the dog is too big. A sacrifice for a family. All right, and then they did let her. So, all right, so there's a problem. I need a sentence. So I'm going to use my if then, my safety thing. If sharing table scraps, I don't care. I'm going to leave my mistakes because this is a draft. If sharing table scabs is a makes her parents uncomfortable, then keeping the dog may cause the family to lose food for themselves. So then I tied it back to, I put all these pieces together. And so now if I were to start writing today, I would have a 3-sentence paragraph and it would say exactly what I needed it to say. And then a closing sentence depends on your sophistication, because if you do this properly, then you really do have a closing sentence, because you're tying it back together, because that's what Raft does. Some people like to add a sentence there, and that's fine. It just takes some extra thinking. Now, honors, let's make sure you hear this. Honors, you need at least 2 pieces of evidence and 2 pieces of analysis in each body paragraph. So honors, you have a slight different expectation. I'm going to repeat that process. I'm going to go back over here. I'm going to find my second piece of evidence, and I'm going to do the same thing in body paragraph 2. I'm going to do the same thing in body paragraph 3. Ooh, there's a lot of extra spaces here. Let's back that up so it's not so spread out. Okay? And then for my closing paragraph, I'm going to restate my thesis in a new way. Sorry, that's some old thinking there. My thesis in a new way. And so my thesis up here was, one theme in Stray is that people will make sacrifices to avoid torment. So how can I say that differently? I can say that differently with, sacrifice for things you care about can make for a joyful experience. Now again, I don't love this. This is my first crack at it. It's going to get better as I go along. And then here I want to think about how I'm going to close my paper, sometimes or a question or a quote. So I want to think about, well, how do I want to end my paper? Maybe I don't know yet, but I'm going to go ahead and do some thinking about it. And I'm going to think about, I just thought of this, a great quote from Teddy Roosevelt that I know about. So I'm going to have to look that up, and I'll be using that. But once I've filled out this outline, I've got the premise for my writing. We would like for you to do this by hand in your journal and show it to us when you're done. Notice we indent. So body paragraph 1, I have a topic sentence, is what you called it in elementary school, and now we changed it to a claim, which is the same thing, just synonym. And then everything indented here is going to be in that paragraph. Body paragraph 2, I'm going to have my topic sentence, and then everything that's indented is going to belong to this paragraph, and so on and so forth. Show this to an adult when you get done. Good luck.